All right, giving everybody just a little bit to log on here. We are going to record this so it can be readily available after, as well as we will post the presentation for you to review. It's going to be a lot of information, so don't feel like you have to memorize everything. It'll be available for you after the fact. And with that, I will turn it over to Superintendent Hedelin.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. All right. So I just wanted to welcome all the new superintendents. I am excited to be here at the OPI. I was a superintendent just a year ago, and so I know the challenges that you face and how much it is to learn if you're new or just in a new role. So just want to make sure that you know that we're here at the OPI to support you and point out a few resources. I started out as a teacher in Helena, been a principal and superintendent in our rural schools to our larger districts across the state of Montana. And as the state superintendent, just look forward to being a collaborative partner. Would love to know anytime you're doing something exciting at your school that we can support or participate in. And yesterday I got to go to Missoula and visit one of the school breakfast sites, for example, and that was a lot of fun with the students. I also got to meet with the Mansfield Center, and they have some really cool professional development opportunities for educators. They're going to get us more information. We now send out weekly newsletters as well as monthly, and we're working on better calendar systems for you to keep those in. Keep track of all those important upcoming dates on, and we'll make sure we provide details on the professional development opportunities that they're offering as well as others. So we're really excited to be working with school administrators of Montana. Also, we are going to be participating in upcoming mass meetings this year. OPI was not participating in those for a little bit, and now we're back to making sure we will have staff at as many of the mass meetings as possible. It's a good opportunity to work with your colleagues and get updates on important information that's going on for school administrators. One thing we have available right now on our website that's an important resource for you is the new legislative guidebook. So any of the new bills that passed, we have implementation details, timelines, what you need to do as a school administrator. Mike Jetty and I just presented at the SAM conference on the updates from IFA and what you need to do with the new IFA requirements, and just making sure that you track what your school's doing for Indian Ed for All. So if you get ahead of that and do it throughout the school year, it makes it a lot easier for accreditation. Obviously, we have our great accreditation experts on here that will be pointing out a lot more of that to you today as you go on. But that's something that I particularly love to work on, and we have great staff that are willing to come out and do the professional development components for you, as well as the best practices conference for Indian education, and we do support tribal consultation as well. So just want to make sure you know we have those different components available. We are here to help with many initiatives, some that we're really excited about. Coming up is our school safety and wellness. We are going to bring on a new team member in the program staff that focuses specifically on school safety. There's so many great resources out there with the U of M Safe School Center where you can get a school safety audit. And then on our Learning Hub, just want to make sure you all know about the Teachers Learning Hub. There's a lot on there that you can utilize. There's a class on there that you can do with your team to update and develop your school safety plan. And so our new staff will be helping schools reviewing their school safety plans and make sure that those are comprehensive and have everything you need aligned with best practices. So that's exciting. They will also focus on school student wellness and suicide prevention. So we're looking forward to that. I see Craig Behringer's on here. He's our deputy, and many of you might know him from the field previously, but he was well-known school administrator in Montana and Wyoming. And so I'm very thankful to have him on as the deputy. And a lot of our staff here at the OPI have teaching backgrounds, and we're all here to help and support you. We are, we have the goal of making sure we have a high level of customer service and assistance and being available at any time for you. We've greatly increased our time in being responsive. Of course, there's many people like the ones on this call, like Crystal and others, that have always been on top of it, but we are stepping up our game here at OPI to make sure that we are available and get you expert answers and have that level of professionalism for you. So that's a big goal of mine. We've heard a lot about questions and concerns of MAST. We're working on increasing our professional development for teachers in that area and taking a look at how we can reduce the testing footprint. So that's something we're taking a look at. And one thing I want to mention with data modernization is we are going to be offering to all schools to sign up for a direct connector. So whether you're with Power School or with Infinite Campus, if you utilize a direct connector, which will still have a high level of data security and privacy, and data will only be used in conjunction with you in ways that you approve of. However, if you choose to sign the direct connectors, it will mean that you have a dashboard of stats that you at the school level have more information you can access than the community facing module. It will also help your MTSS module go live. So if any of you have worked with other software programs like that before, Branching Lines or some of those, we did renegotiate our contract so that we will be able to offer MTSS through this module for all schools in Montana. And so if you use the direct connector, it'll upload your attendance information, behavior incidents, all of those different components, academics, and it will flag students for you that need interventions or support. It will provide recommendations for interventions. It'll let you log them. I know I used to have the MTSS binder that was not this thick. So it'll be all digital now. And if a student moves in Montana, that will go with them. So those are a couple new things that I think are really exciting for our educators and administrators across the state that are going to be offered here in the coming months. So just wanted to give you guys updates on some of those things. Make sure that you take a look at the guidance on school facilities and how to access those additional funds that are coming out of recent legislation. So you know that you can take advantage of those, whether it's through your permissive levy building reserve match or other areas. The guidance documents are on our website for that. And we also currently have an opportunity where every school in Montana, we have a window open right now where every school in Montana can apply for an AED, a $700 grant towards an AED or AED maintenance. So those are a couple things that I wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to apply for. This year, our federal funding did not come in one package with a bow on it. It trickled in, as you know, and we worked very hard to advocate for that and get the most current information we could. Senator Dane's office and others were very helpful in communicating with the Department of Education and the administration. It had actually gone to OMB, which is the budget office for the president, was kind of where it got held up there for a while. So we communicated the urgency of those funds being needed before you guys need to set your budgets August 15th. And so that we can get the allocations determined and out to you. One of the biggest changes we saw was that Title I funding, we did receive the same amount of money at the OPI. We were level funded. However, they changed the eligibility requirements. So we had more schools eligible for Title I than we had before. So we had the same amount of money. It got spread out differently. More schools were eligible, if that makes sense. So some schools did see an increase, while some saw a slight reduction, which does happen annually. You know, depending on your socioeconomics, the amount that you receive at your school can change year to year. So I just wanted to mention a few of those things, and we have a whole team here ready to provide information and updates. So I don't want to take too much time. Just want to say that we're always excited to visit schools and welcome you here at the office at the OPI as well. So feel free to reach out at any time, and I'll turn it over to the experts on our team.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Hedeland. We are switching to, yep, Marie, you are next talking about statewide testing.
Perfect. Thank you, Ellery. Thanks, Superintendent. Hi, my name's Marie Judish. I'm the Division Administrator of Academic Outcomes and Instruction. Formerly, it was Teaching and Learning. And today I'm covering assessment for our Assessment Director, Cedar Rose, who's out of office today. So the number one question that we get when we go on any of our PD and meet with administrators, teachers alike, is why are we doing these? And I had the same question when I was in the seat of a principal and also serving as an STC is, wait, why do we have to do these? Well, they are actually in federal law in order to receive title funding and make sure that we're meeting our academic standards that are for our students. We do have to do statewide assessment. And I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty and all the different laws that we have, but if you ever want to cite it, it's ESSA section 111 or 1111 B2. If you continue to the next slide, it actually tells us more of those assessment requirements, but at the state level. So not only is it in federal law, it's also found in Montana Administrative Rule, and that's Title 10, Chapter 56. And it talks about the Board of Public Education actually adopts the rules for state level assessments within the public schools and also our private schools that seek accreditation. So moving to the next piece, because I don't want to dig into law all day long, but it is important to mention the participation rules when it comes to our statewide assessment are also within not only federal law, but within our statewide. And this is where it lays out that we have to have English language arts and mathematics assessed and aligned to Montana content standards and ELA standards in grades 3 through 8 and 11th grade. And we also have to have science once in the federal law says once in the elementary grade band, junior high grade band, and high school. So if Montana has chosen grades 5, 8, and 11 for our science administration. The next slide makes it much easier to absorb those pieces. The other component that I have not mentioned yet is that we do, by law, have to assess English language proficiency in grades K through 12 for not only our general population, but also our alternate population, which are our students that have been identified with significant cognitive delays. So all of these assessments, no matter if they're math, ELA, or science, must be at the grade level content standards, and then that will help ensure that they adhere to the federal and technical requirements of those. For participation, and I am checking chat if anything comes in, we may not fall below 95% participation for our student subgroup. So throughout the year, when we're getting to those windows, you will be getting calls saying, hey, we're not quite at that participation rate. We see some missing students that we need to make sure we hit those participations. We will be contacting you just to provide that technical support because we know how much it can take on to make sure you're tracking all those kids and makeups and things like that. So that is required within mathematics, reading and language arts, and science. So it also requires that the other part is it requires 100% of English language learners to participate in the WIDA Access Assessment. If this is new to you, please don't worry. We will make sure that you have the right resources. Our team is wonderful. Dylan Conway is our support specialist on that, and he will help you understand what that means for your particular students. On the next slide, and I know I'm going fast, so please don't hesitate to interrupt, put something in the chat. I want to make sure that we use your time wisely, but you also get the information you need. When it comes to non-participation, there's really very limited points of where this would be allowed. So it could be a student has a significant and documented medical reason. So any other non-participation reason will actually negatively impact the participation rate calculation for your school. And also note there is no opt-out law in Montana. State law requires that all public and accredited non-public schools participate in assessments as well. Procedures to notify families and manage participation reasons for students whose families refuse should really be determined at the local level. So if you're having those situations, you can contact us for help in that language, but that's a local level. So next one, we're getting into like, here's the big picture. So when it comes to statewide assessment, we really go to our grade level content standards. So you may or may not know, and I'll discuss later, the different standards that we are in revisions and what these are directly building those assessment items for our students. So we adopt our state level content standards, and then we assess those students on those standards. Moving into that, we then have the accountability system. So these assessments flow into the accountability system to identify schools that need additional support. So it's that big cycle of we're teaching the standards, we're assessing the standards, we're seeing who needs support. It sounds kind of like the classroom. Our upcoming 2025-2026 school year, we've published these windows. We know that we did extend our masked windows for this upcoming year based on feedback from the field. We have lots of PD coming up on this as well to help support your scheduling of those testlets and ensuring that your curriculum alignment is set. But you'll see that window starts in October through December 5th. In window 2, we start again in January 12th through March 6th. Window 3 is March 30th through May 22nd, which is an extension from last year after hearing the field needing that extra time to get to the end of the school year. You'll also see that we have dynamic learning maps, which is our alternate assessment for our students with significant cognitive delays for math and ELA. There are 2 windows for that, and there's good reason for that. It's more embedded into the instruction and aligned to students' IEPs, and they're wide open for each semester from September 8th to December 19th, and then the spring window is February 2nd to May 15th. And you'll see that covers 3rd through 8th and 11th grade. That one is, sometimes we forget about those 11th graders on those alt assessments because we have the rest of them taking ACT, so please take note of that. WeDid Access has moved completely to the spring. It used to begin in December, but we found that schools preferred it afterwards, so from January 5th to March 6th. Our Montana Science Assessment, which is just our grades 5 and 8, begins in March 2nd through May 22nd. And then DLM, or Dynamic Learning Maps for our alt science, is again in that same spring window. And those are for our students with significant cognitive delays in grades 5th, 8th, and 11th. And then ACT begins in March with 3 different windows that are very tight at the end of the school year there, from March to May 1st. When we look specifically at the mass testing windows on the next slide, you'll see the extension of from 6 weeks to 8 weeks throughout the school year. You'll also see that limitation of 3 to 5 testlets for math, and then the same setup that we had for ELA. The one difference that we have in terms of windows is on window 3, rather than having that 4th window like we had this last year, we combine that anchor testlet into the 3rd window so that the field testing and other components of that are all within that 3rd window. The only other thing that you'll see that is different between windows is that we do have that performance task, which is in that middle window. On the next slide, you'll see our upcoming key dates. If you want to know more about math, because we know there's a lot to learn, we provided several different learning opportunities this year and more to come as well. So next week, August 20th, we have Math for Teachers, which isn't just for teachers, but really this is meant to support teachers in the classroom or anyone that is looking at math assessment, planning the school year for our STCs, our system testing coordinators, our instructional leaders, making sure that they understand the whole platform, how they can utilize score reports, accommodations, and other components so that we can really have a successful kickoff to the year. On September 4th, you'll see the Mass Virtual Summit, which is geared more toward leadership as well as our system testing coordinators. And then pretty quick, we'll start with assessment. September 8th, we'll have that fall DLM, and September 15th, the Mass Scheduler closes. So this is where we have to make sure we turn in our math schedules for the school year for for math for each of those windows. And if you want to know more about that, that's my plug. I'm not going to give too much so that you can come see us next week at Mass for Teachers. And thank you for dropping those links in there. Again, please call our OPI assessment help desk anytime you have any random question. You might think it's a small question, but we want to make sure that we're of service for you, that you get all the answers you need to best support your students in the classroom. There's some more links on the next one that we'll drop in. And if there's any questions, I can stay on as well.
All right. There are no questions for, oh, we do have one. Will there be another avenue for teachers to gain that information? School starts for us on August 20th.
Yes, thank you, Emily. We are recording it and posting it. We are also updating all of our hub courses that we do also have on Mass, which I'll talk about more later too.
Any other questions for assessment? All right, our next slide, we'll hand it over to Nicole Thuart, our Educate Unit Manager.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. So the Educate unit is the one that handles Infinite Campus. So this is all of the data that goes in that feeds into Mayfairs for your average number belonging, your accreditation, CTE, etc. You want to go ahead, Ellery, to the next slide? Thank you. Just some quick notes here. I'm not going to go into too much depth about what we do, but there is a data collection calendar that we have on our website. And so that will give you all of the information that you need about our data collections throughout the year. And we have some training opportunities coming up. So we have a fall state reporting survival series, which will be on Friday mornings. And that will run from September 5th through October 3rd. So if you could join us for those trainings, that would be wonderful. We're going to step through all of the fall reporting that needs to be completed and give you all that good information. We also have Infinite Campus user groups that will be September 22nd and 23rd in Billings and the 24th and 25th in Missoula. So watch for some more information coming soon on those opportunities. And then just a reminder that at the end of this month, your first data certification, if you have a summer jumpstart program, will be due on August 29th. And as with every other team here, we are certainly here to help. And please do not ever hesitate to give us a call or send us an email. So our phone number and our email are there as well. So let us know if you have any questions. We'll be happy to help. And thank you, Crystal, for posting those links. The Friday IC trainings will be virtual. And we're doing those in conjunction with School Services of Montana. So it should be a good time. Please do make plans to join us.
I'm going to leave any questions for Nicole and her team. All right, next we are moving over to the OPI Secure Portal, and we have Alan Grover, our security analyst, doing that.
Hello, it's good to be with you this morning. I'm the privacy and security officer at OPI, and I'm just going to get it on the table. I'm probably a little weird. I love my job in security and IT security, and I love working at OPI. I'm going to talk a little bit about the OPI secure portal. When we say that at OPI, we're kind of talking about all of our applications. So I'm kind of representing all of IT here and all the work that goes into building our applications and making them available. And before I do that, I probably ought to just fill in a little background. Some of this will make a lot more sense if I could do that. Much of what OPI does is to gather data from various sources and then process or aggregate that data and then make it available to decision makers. And currently OPI provides and maintains over 60 applications to make all of that work. So that's a lot of applications. Some of those are written in-house and are kind of older applications. They still work well and do their job. Others we're always looking at ways to update and improve, and a lot of stuff is moving to the cloud, and I would bet that in the near future a lot of this stuff will end up in the cloud, and will probably look a little different and be more efficient and everything. But for right now we have all of these applications, and it'd be nice if we just had one application you could sign in and get to the stuff that you want to, but unfortunately it just doesn't work that way. um, I'll some of the reason for having so many applications is just the way some of the laws and regulations have come to us over time through the state and federal government, as you know, they mandate that certain things happen certain ways. Then we have to try and figure out how to come up with a way to collect the information and do what's needed. So a lot of times that ends up being a new application. Some of the issues with that is that, you know, where we're going to put that, how we're going to get it set up. And so in the past, we had users would have to log into various systems, and you'd have to log in for each application that you would get into. So the secure portal is kind of our best effort to try and reduce a lot of that and create an area where you or any of the school users can go to and just have like a single point where they can get into. Again, it's not perfect because we can't get everything kind of combined into the secure portal, but at least we're trying to do what we can. From a security perspective, we try and make sure that like any good system that's secure these days, that they're designed with this idea of least privilege, or that as people log in to use the system, that they're only getting to the information that they should be able to, that they can't see anybody else's information or any information they shouldn't have access to. So that creates some complexity too. Um, Especially in Montana, where we have organizations, you know, schools and districts, you know, that are of various sizes and have different needs. So a lot of the complexity in our applications kind of comes from this uh, idea that we're trying to make sure that everybody has the tools that they need, and they're able to kind of set things up the way that they need to. To access our applications, we've been talking about our OPI website. That's kind of my first recommendation to everybody, is that is the place where you're going to find out where you get access to the applications. So as you get in on our website and you start to navigate through the different screens and panes there, you can you can find our applications, information about the OPI applications in those screens. Another big help is each of our applications has a data owner or somebody that's an expert that manages that information. And so those people are going to be extremely helpful. And usually their contact information is associated with the information on the website there. And so as you click in and start to drill down into, you know, how do you get signed up for an application, or, you know, is this something that you need? You're going to discover probably the data owner's contact information. Each application normally has a form also that's associated with it, so that the entire process can be reviewed. And then once you're set up with the proper roles that you need and everything, there's an approval that needs to be done, and that's often the superintendent that will do that approval. There's times when that role can be delegated to somebody else. but there is an approval that needs to happen on the school side or the district side, and then also on the OPI side. Once that's all completed, then that form gets sent in and the new users created, the roles are added, or if there's changes or additions or whatever, that same type of form needs to be sent in and completed each time. We also have the OPI help desk. If you have login issues, that's a good place to go to. If you get a help desk ticket in, we have IT support staff that can help resolve those issues. We've recently added a self-password reset, so you don't always have to contact the help desk. If you're having password issues, you can actually go in yourself on the portal there and get that reset. So there's a link, I think in the previous slide, it showed there's an address there to get to the portal. You won't see much in there if you haven't been assigned any applications yet, but as applications are added, then you'll start to see the tiles in there and you're able to click on those tiles and get logged in. There was a couple other things that I wanted to share with everyone. There's 6 or 7 years ago, there was a group that started, and they wanted to try and kind of streamline how student privacy is handled in contracts. And so they have started this organization that is pretty much nationwide now. I would say most states are using this. And we found out about it. OPI provides there's a fee for being a part of this, but the OPI covers that. And you can have several people in your organization have access to this if you like. But anyway, there's an account that gets created for them. And then you have access to contract language. So you don't have to hire a lawyer every time you need to work through a contract and figure out if all the privacy concerns are covered in a contract. So people love this service. It's a really, really great service. And then one other thing that I hope people are aware of, but the state of Montana has a lot of resources to help schools and districts respond to a security breach or a data incident. If you had a ransomware attack or denial of service attack, some of these security issues that you read about all the time. The state of Montana has not only organizations, but access to federal organizations. And if you've ever been through one of these, it's not pleasant, an attack. Um, nothing you're usually planning on, or you realize once you're in the middle of one that you're probably not as prepared as you should have been. But you often need assistance from other organizations or other people to figure out what's going on and to kind of recover from something like that. So I did want to let you know that the state of Montana has helped and is willing to help any of the schools or districts if they do find themselves in an incident, and can be very helpful. They've done a lot in the past. So anyway, that's all I had. I don't know if anybody has questions for me.
All right, thank you, Alan. Next, we'll turn it over to the school finance manager, Paul Taylor, to talk about school finance.
Hi all. My name's Paul Taylor. I work here at the OPI. We've got about 8 slides that I'm going to just step through real quick about what school finance does. I think Nicole starts off with a pretty good a description that says a lot of the non-fiscal data that is collected impacts the calculations that occur over on this side. So Ellery, I'm going to sort of like click through as fast as I can. I think a really good place would be to, if you can get a hold of this slide deck, the link takes you to the school finance area. There's 8 staff within the division. They're doing their very, very best. Let's keep on cruising. We make distributions to school districts through the county or through the investment accounts. You can see the listing of payment types that we make as distribution to schools. Keep on trucking. We also deal with the collection of trustees' financial summary information because a school district is a form of government. It's required to have a financial position and therefore has to compile a trustee's financial summary each year. We try to aid with assurance of monitoring of funds according with the state statutes so that they can be utilized in determining fund balances. And in some cases, those fund balances, one unreserved, become part of the budgetary funding support. Let's keep on trucking. And that's all happening right now. So Mayfair's is open. If you're unaware that Mayfair's is open, please talk to your clerk or business manager. We do a lot of testing and verification to ensure that that information that's entered is appropriate so that budgetary and property taxes and state funds can be distributed to the schools appropriately. You can see then it also branches out to a listing of other areas in which we assure that we aid with that process. We don't have to talk about each one of these, but you can see we work with the audits of districts. We log the audit findings. We aid with budgets. We aid with the county for the county forms and aid with setting of mills. We aid with elections. And then there's the one that I was tying back to Nicole. Yeah, we also aid with the calculation for determining the A and B calculations, which drive a large part of a district's general fund. What else do we have here? It goes on. We aid with pupil transportation, we aid with tuition and attendance, and what else do we do? Oh, good. We also have another function that is it's kind of newer to the school finance division, I suppose. We deal with a lot of legislative changes and aid with implementation of the laws that have been passed. And we aid with developing the policies and guidance documents. Another part that is newer to the division is the preparation of fiscal notes when they're financial and they're associated with the collected data within our database, which is known as Mayfair's. We aid with the legislation, discuss stuff with legislators, and for myself, I attend hearings that then eventually change policy and also statutory processes. And what else do we have? We maintain and help manage data systems access. So this is some stuff that Alan was going over a little bit. When the staff that have to enter into the Mayfair system or associated databases are requiring access to be able to enter information for budget, tuition, student count for A and B, TFS information. We try to maintain those contact lists so that they're accurate and appropriate. And some of those things actually get put into a few of our reports. So we want to make sure that there's accuracy when signature pages are being populated through some of our programs. So some of the stuff that Alan said is actually quite pertinent, that you want to make sure that you're maintaining your staff at your school district so that it culminates in appropriate signature pages. And then also for allowing people into the transportation program and also the county application. So just more of the same. What else do I have? I didn't realize there was so many slides. some of the, this is sort of a high level, but we do a lot of things with that are time sensitive, and most of this is set in statute. Data for impact data applications are due January 31st, spring enrollments due on February 3rd, transportation, first and second semesters, you can see the dates there. Indirect cost rates are due to the agency by April 30th. And I got another slide of dates. Tuition forms are due on June 30th. By the way, I just got a message, I think, from Nicole that says I might want to say who the contact is. Andrea Mohammadi is the our tuition expert within the division. Did I do well, Nicole? Is that what you wanted me to say? She's not even gonna shake.
I
What?
was just going to have you mention as well that your division also handles school elections. So any election questions should go to school finance as well. So.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, we also handle school elections, what Nicole just said. Mayfair's has been released already, so I'm hopeful that that information's being entered right now. There's a few other due dates that are coming up real tight. You're looking at your TFS has to be completed and due to the county suit by August 15th. Budget and TFS submissions come collectively, although statute doesn't match, but it all comes to us by September 15th. And then we run right up into fall when we're going to start with the student count for A and B, which Nicole will handle, but then yet there's a part that has to be done on the Mayfair side where you take the raw enrollment, verify it in the Mayfair system, and then have it entered into the Mayfair system by essentially verifying some information, checking the reports, and then hitting the submit button. Teacher incentive information this year will be on December 1st. And also, if there's mistakes to your TFS and there's a possibility and it doesn't change fund balance as per statute, we make those changes up until December 10th. But please, my goodness, do not wait that long to make your changes to TFS if mistakes have been made. Please handle those as immediately as you can. Mayfair's is currently open, so make sure it's right the first time if possible. And then if there is a mistake, yeah, please feel free to reach out to somebody in school finance. A lot of this information is on our area of the website, and I know it's cluttered and there's a lot there, but we cover a lot of information in our area. I don't even know, is there one more slide for us, Ellery? Oh, thank goodness. I think I might be off the hook. It's a busy time of year. Congratulations. If they're busy jobs, you'll all succeed. But remember, there are organizations and our agency as well that you can reach out to and lean on. Sam, school boards, MASBO, the OPI, they're all organizations and a state organization that's here to support and help to assure that you can succeed in your jobs. So make sure you find ways to reach out to the various paths and people that can assist you with your questions. I think that's a repeated thing from each one of us up to this point. All right, I'm done. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. If there's any questions, I'll just give a couple minutes, or not a minute. We'll give you a little bit. All right. Next, we're going to talk about special education. I will let the special education director, Danny McCarthy, and the division admin, Patrick Cates, go over that.
Thank you, Ellery. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you. Patrick will not be joining us today. He is enjoying the Oregon coast with his daughter headed to college. Before we start, oh, there you go. That's fine. There, you will notice a lot of links within my presentation, and it's because our website can be difficult to navigate at times. So giving you direct links was, in my opinion, one of the better things to do. Also, all of our staff that is listed in here, the 19 that I work with, or the 19 of us, they're also linked, and that's their direct email address. I figured that would be the easiest way. So information for and resources for special education can be found on our website. And then we actually have 19 staff within 6 different units in special education. plus an additional 16 short-term workers. Thank you, Crystal. She just posted our webpage in the chat. Next slide. Okay, so these are talking about our different units that we have within special education. The administrative unit consists of the director, myself, the IDEA fiscal manager, Kimber Emmons, and the administrative assistant, Ty House. We can answer any fiscal questions that you may have, Kimber and I, and that's all related to special education federal funds. Most of the state funding, we will refer you to school finance, with the exception of a few pieces. And then in addition, Kimber and I are able to answer pretty much any special education question that you might have, and if we don't have the answer, we will find it for you. The next unit, we have continuing education and technical assistance. It's our CETA unit. It consists of all of these people. So Tammy License is the unit manager. The Montana Autism Education Project, or MAPE, is Katie. Any questions about GT or MTSS right now is Jenny Jarvis. Our CSPD director is Ann Carpenter. Continuing education and stipend programs is Annette Young. And our 619 coordinator, which is our special education preschool, that is Lucy Belts. So within this, I have included all the different the websites. So like with the MAPE project and the recruiting and retention that Annette does. We also have a hearing conservation program. So what that means is we have 11, I believe, contracts throughout the state with audiologists that are responsible for child find testing. So if you have any preschool child find activities going on, like kindergarten roundup, or just having the younger kids come in, your age 3 to 5, or even up, they can do the free hearing screenings for them. But one thing that so they are available to you. There is a map on this web page. The only thing they don't do is the screenings of all students throughout the school year. That is not something that they are required to do. So we also have a page for sign language interpreters and testing. We do provide funding for sign language interpreters to increase their skill level within the sign language, and then we pay for your testing to go ahead and take the written exam, and then once that's passed, you can take the performance exam as well. We also have some information on deaf of heart and hard of hearing, excuse me, and then paraprofessionals. We have this great new program that we've introduced. It is our Parapathways program, where the Parapathways, or where the paras, excuse me, can take online modules. There's 40 of them. And again, if they're special education paraprofessionals, then they get paid for them. It's $20 a module. And once those are completed, then if they would like to go on the special education tech, if that's what they would like to go on and do, then we can sign them up and pay for the tuition at Dawson Community College for them to take the 4 classes or 4 courses that they are required to take in order to get the special education technician license. There's more information on that on our website. Tammy does all of the professional learning. Ann and Tammy do the CSPD together. Early childhood is Lucy, and MTSS is Jenny. We don't have a website for gifted and talented, but that is also Jenny. Another area that we have is family resources. Annette Gorton is the special education family and school liaison for the Family Resources Unit. So this liaison supports strong partnerships and collaborative relationships between the families and schools. So she provides technical assistance, resources, and other educational opportunities within everything that she does. She does not provide legal advice. She does not come to the schools to be, like a mediator or anything, but she provides you with the resources that you may need for some of that stuff. She also is a former special education director, so she can answer a lot of special education questions as well. The next unit that we have is our school improvement and supports. John Gorton oversees this unit. He has 5 staff: Mercy, Alicia, Desiree, Crystal, and Jillian. They oversee the integrated monitoring system, and they can answer all general special education system. The monitoring system consists of reviewing, special education documents, but also interviewing parents, teachers, superintendents, whatever it may be. So that's a little different than in years past, but we'll have more information on that at MCASE. One of our other data systems and reporting, that's our other unit. Christy Sears is the data and reporting manager. She collects and assists in analyzing the special education data, which Nicole, in her presentation, she had a link to when all the due dates were for the collections, and so that will include these. But those collections that she does collect are going to be, that Christy collects. There we go. Thank you. Child count, exiting, post-school outcomes, and behavior. It's also important to remember to accurately record your personnel, as we are required to report that to the Office of Special Education Programs, OSEP, so that personnel report. So yeah, we have to include that as well. There's several other resources available for the data systems and reporting. This includes educational environments, the setting of service, public reporting for IDEA data, significant disproportionality, which is very important and doesn't always apply to all schools. But if your school is found to be significantly disproportionate, this is a good resource for you. So, and then any assessment data. While the assessment team collects that, we have certain pieces that we also need to submit to OSEP. Dispute resolution is another unit that we have. The Early Assistance Program, or the EAP, provides TA to help parents, adults, students, guardians, school district staff, etc. Of the special education community to understand the requirements of the Individuals with Disability Educations Act, so IDEA, and the implementing Montana laws. So dispute resolution specifically consists of the IEP facilitation, mediation, state complaint, and due process. But the EAP program, if you were to call Mandy or Angie right away, they try and help, and you can call any of us as well, but we try and help ahead of time before heading to a facilitation or a mediation, anything like that. But the IEP facilitation, it's free, but both the parent or the guardian and the school district have to agree. We're one of the only states that has this. And it's that first step. If the team is, if parents and the school district agree to it, where we have a facilitator come in and while the IEP meeting is going, and they're a neutral third party. So we have 3 of them and they do very well. So Mandy Gibbs and Angie Greiner make up this unit. It is important to remember that the Special Education Division cannot provide legal advice. We can just provide the information that is in like our Montana guidance for special education. Is
Okay.
that it, Ellery?
That is it. Thank you, Danny.
Okay.
Any questions for special education? All right, so next we have school nutrition, and that'll be Christine Emerson and Erin Turner, the director and assistant director.
Thank you. I'm Erin Turner, the Assistant Director of School Nutrition Programs. I've been with OPI about 7 years, and I work under Christine Emerson, who has been the director for over 25 years here at OPI. And we also have
Looks like we lost Erin, maybe. So let me see if I can message her.
Oh gosh, I'm back. Sorry about that. Of course, when it comes my turn, I glitch. Can you hear me? So sorry about that. Had to log back in. We also have a team of regional school nutrition program specialists that are out in the field that come and observe your school nutrition programs, support your needs, and conduct administrative reviews. Next slide. So these are the school nutrition programs that we administer here at the OPI. That includes your National School Lunch Program, the School Breakfast Program. We operate a fresh fruit and vegetable program, which is optional for your school to operate, provides an extra snack during the day outside of breakfast and lunch. We operate the after-school snack program. If your school has an after-school program, that's an option for you to operate. A lot of schools are finished wrapping up their summer food service program. And we also do the special milk program, which is for schools that don't have a national school lunch or breakfast program. We oversee the USDA Foods Entitlement and DoD Fresh, which is fresh fruits and vegetables, another optional program for you. And we work closely with Montana Team Nutrition for over 25 years, kind of our training arm that works out in the field, assisting schools in education and school nutrition programs or school wellness policies. And I won't talk about Sunbucks too much, but we are currently wrapping up Summer 25 Sunbucks program for households. So what does OPI School Nutrition do for your school? So we do support your schools in operating the school nutrition programs. We provide trainings, resources, and technical assistance in person or virtual. And we do conduct administrative and procurement reviews to ensure compliance with federal regulations. We process and provide your school's reimbursement for every school meal that you provide. And we work to take your food orders and deliver USDA foods throughout the school year directly to your schools. We do also support farm to school efforts. We've had grants in the past for like local foods for schools. So stay tuned for any upcoming farm to school efforts and trainings that we'll have. And we do also do an equipment grant for your cafeteria. That usually comes out in about September. So that if you do need some equipment, just heads up, there is a grant every year for that. And we do provide a lot of technology. Your food service directors and claim contact or your business clerk use our program called MAPS. Also a program called DCA, and we do offer a free online, free and reduced applications out to schools to use and process applications that your households would submit for free or reduced meals. The USDA does require hiring standards for any school food service director. And so I just kind of put this little flyer on here and a link to it. that you can see what the required qualifications are to be a food service director at a school. And it is guided by your student enrollment. Most of our schools fall under the 500 students or less. So just be mindful, there are some hiring standards and there are professional continuing educational standards that's required annually for not only your food service director to attend a minimum of 12 hours of training, but also any of your food service staff is required to take training. So I put on our internal training calendar, which starts this week, tomorrow, that your food service director, your business clerk, or your school's determining official, those are usually the three roles, should attend. Good thing is though that these are live, however, they're all recorded and available to you to watch or your staff to watch at a later time. And we do have some upcoming fall workshops that go over a lot of the entire requirements of operating school nutrition programs. So there's a save the date on there of October 16th, which is that state PIR day, if any of your school nutrition or clerks are able to attend that. Again, it's recorded if not. Next slide. Ellery, did I freeze again?
Was me. That was weird.
Okay.
Let me get back in as host and share here. Sorry about that, everyone. Or Crystal, I think you can make me co-host now. Okay, so sorry about that.
No worries, thank you. Okay, we also do put out, and it's available now, our school nutrition program's annual checklist, which your school nutrition staff can be guided by. It lists like important requirements and due dates on that checklist. We also just sent out just yesterday an administrative update packet of new things that are new this year. So maybe check with your staff and make sure they receive that and have them reach out anytime if they have any questions. Yeah. I think that covers that slide. Kind of just wanted to briefly go over a couple of the main roles of school nutrition, school staff. One in particular is your determining officials role. That's the person who receives and processes free and reduced applications. They work in another program called DCA, which is our direct certification application. To determine if kids are directly certified to automatically receive free or reduced meals, so they don't have to do that application step. And I just wanted to put some of the processes on here for you, if that's helpful, to pass that on to maybe some new determining officials that you have, and then also have them reach out to us directly if they have any questions and how to process these applications or how to organize them to conduct this very important verification process that's on there. Verification process starts on October 1st and it must be completed by November 15th. So just a heads up on those dates. Yeah, next slide. And also we do outreach for schools who are eligible to operate the community eligibility provision, or CEP. That if you are operating that at any of your schools, that just means that all of your kids can eat for free. And there's some data that determines if you're eligible or not. And the reimbursement rate, which is the same for every school out there, those rates. However, depending on your CEP data, kind of determines how many of your free meals that you provide to your students are reimbursed at the free reimbursement rate or at the paid reimbursement rate. I won't go too much into that, but reach out if you have questions. And then the food service director's role is a big role. Basically, they plan and prepare and order meals that meet all the federal required meal patterns. They're required to complete daily production records, which is basically a receipt to show that a reimbursable meal was offered. Having accurate daily meal counts is super important. A lot of schools use the Infinite Campus POS, but there are many others out there as long as it's a reliable count of your school meals. We do offer resources for food safety and accommodating, which is required for any disability. I've already talked about the USDA foods, which is your food service director will order those in February for the following school year, and then they'll start getting USDA foods delivered monthly at your school based on whatever they had ordered in February. And just a requirement to complete 12 hours of continuing education annually and track it for themselves and for any school nutrition staff. And a claim contact basically ensures the daily meal counts from the food service director is accurate, consolidates it, and enters a claim in MAPS by the 10th of the following month, so your school can get reimbursed for all those school meals you provided. They just ensure that, you know, all school meals reimbursements are paid and accrued to the nonprofit school food service account or your Fund 12. And ensure that that account is only used for allowable school nutrition program expenses. They also ensure that any adult meals that are provided, revenue from those accrue to that same nonprofit food service account. They are kind of guided by not being a negative balance at the end of the school year and not exceeding their average 3-month expenditure average. If your school does exceed that, it's okay. We'll just send a letter requesting a spend down plan this coming school year. Just a heads up on that. And then following proper procurement procedures as well. And we do have some resources about the requirement to have written procurement procedures. And I linked those in there. And then maybe the superintendent roles, perhaps. There's basically 3 policies or procedures that are required for schools to have. One is the school wellness policy. It's usually 2510 is the number I see. They're also required to conduct a formal assessment of your implementation of your school wellness policy every 3 years and then post it publicly. And I did put a link into a school wellness policy self-review checklist for you to use to see if your school wellness policy meets the requirements of the USDA, and also includes language about smart snacks, which are healthier snacks being provided in your school. And there's another flyer about smart snacks, basically having a healthy school environment. Anything that's sold during the school day, whether it's in vending machines or school stores, concessions, snack bars, whatever, have to meet requirements for a healthier item to be allowed to be sold in your school. So there's a link in there to that brochure. And finally, we do conduct administrative school nutrition program and procurement reviews about every 5 years, and we do conduct follow-up reviews as required in result of those reviews. And I just want to give you a heads up, these are the schools that are on review this year. If you're curious if we'll be visiting you in person this year, we've already started that process this month with some of our year-round RCCI schools. But anyway, our school meals we see out in the field all the time, they are incredible, they're amazing. And we are here to support you in however we can. So please reach out to our team so we can help you support your school nutrition programs. Any questions? Thank you.
All right. Next, we'll hand it over to Marie again to talk about the standard revisions, professional development portal, and the hub updates.
All right, thank you, Ellery. I will be extremely quick so we can move through. I just want to make sure you have the resources at hand. If you go to the next slide, you'll notice that these are the different areas that we do have content standards within Administrative Rule of Montana. Right now, we are finishing up revising the ELA standards that are with the Board of Public Ed for their components, and mathematics will be coming up here really soon. Let's jump to the next one. I wanted to show you briefly a quick a new portal that we have for housing the content standards. So your educators can go to mt.satchel.commongoodlt.com and they can actually make their own accounts. They can dive in here. They can grab the standards they're teaching for the week. We're going to be adding lots of resources here that are engaged with the guidance documents that we're developing also. Next slide, sorry to rush through. Here's the revision schedule. So like I mentioned, we just updated the mathematics. Those will go live July 1, 2026. So they have been formally adopted. Schools will be expected to adopt those here soon. And then world languages were updated as well. We'll be working on implementation with that as well for July 1, 2026. And ELA is currently with the Board of Public Ed, like I said, with a July 2027 start date. On the next slide, you'll see what you can expect when you go to the Montana Content Standards pages for those revisions. On the main page, you'll see the standards revision information on the bottom, and we have all sorts of things out there. We have one-pagers for every kind of person that would need to know about the math standards. So I grabbed the one for what school districts, boards of trustees would need to know. Why are we updating the standards? What's different, and how can school boards help support that implementation? And then here, there's lots of professional learning coming your way. We are starting monthly implementation webinars on the next slide here for those new math standards, looking at the new mathematical practices, also working with our partner, Data Science for You, because the big emphasis you will see is the inclusion of data within those math standards. And then I'm going to jump over to the professional development provider system. So as district superintendents, you can be the designated PDU provider for your district. On these slides that I know you will get to download, it will show you how to sign up and what that means. I'm then going to jump to, we'll go to the Teacher Learning Hub so I can move through. If you have questions on that, those emails and everything are right there for you to make sure that you get the information that you need. The Teacher Learning Hub, like the superintendent mentioned, we actually have 170 some courses on there right now. We are transitioning here September 1st to a new platform. We are anticipating about a 4-week shutdown while we transition and try to soft launch the most vitally included courses, including the EPA one, which is required for licensure. But we wanted to make sure that you knew that was coming. And on the next slide, it'll tell you if you already have a Teacher Learning Hub account, you have received an email on what you need to do to make sure that you're responsible and your teachers are responsible for having their course completion certificates that go toward licensure and their renewal. The only other thing I wanted to drop in the chat is that we do actually have a portal that we utilize to share learning opportunities for professional learning. It is the mtplportal.org. And that any provider can go in there and submit opportunities they have for professional learning, and you'll see a calendar of events there as well. And with that, I will finish up my part.
Thank you. Next, we'll turn it over to Zach Hawkins to talk about the federal reporting, or Crystal Smith if she is here as well.
Yeah, thanks, Ellery. Zach Hawkins, Title I Federal Programs Director at the OPI. Crystal is not here today. She's, I believe, on vacation somewhere as well. But you can go ahead and advance. Yeah, so all of the title programs and any other grants that you may get through the OPI, whether they be state or federal, will come through the e-grant system. This is an online system. You don't need any special software or anything like that to access it. You just need to create an account. And once you are established as the authorized rep for your district, all of those grants will go through you, and you'll be the final sign-off and submission person. All right, you can go ahead. So these are the title programs that come through eGrants that I oversee. Obviously, Title 1A is the big one. That is all the supplemental academic supports for students who have identified academic deficiencies. Title II funds are for professional development. It's important to note that the professional development can be for all staff and teachers. They do not necessarily have to be serving Title I students to receive support through Title II. Also, you can use Title II for teacher retention and recruitment and class size reduction. Title III is support for English language learners. It's important to note that whether or not you receive Title III funding, you do have to provide supports for your English language learners under law. Title IV is an interesting program because it has three main thrusts: well-rounded education, so you can use it to add electives, supplemental courses, things that you wouldn't normally be able to offer using your other funding, including things like robotics or STEM or foreign language. You can also use it for safe and healthy schools, so things like tobacco, alcohol, drug prevention, anti-bullying, and then effective use of technology. Title V-B, this is a supplemental fund that goes to rural low-income school districts. This is a kind of a slush fund pot of money that can be used for any other title program goals and objectives. So it's just a supplemental pot of money that districts can use. They can support Title I, II, III, or IV with it if they would like. And then it's in a separate application, but we also have the Title IX McKinney-Vento homeless program. That is by a special application. Currently, if you have that, you're in a continuation status this year. There will be an upcoming competition in the coming year, probably around January, February. We'll be getting information out about that. One other thing to note with McKinney-Vento, people often confuse it with Title IX of the Civil Rights Act, which is all around equal opportunity for genders and sexes. Please keep those two things distinct. Title IX of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, not of the Civil Rights Act. Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. Real quick, so this is kind of what our school year timeline looks at. So you'll notice that September 1 is the last day to amend your 24-25 ESEA application. So you need to obligate any funding that you're planning to spend. Remember that because we're federal, we operate on the federal fiscal year, not on the state fiscal year. That federal fiscal year ends September 30th. So any and all expenditures for 24-25 need to be completed by September 30th. You need to have your cash request for those expenditures into the OPI by October 25th. You should note too that cash request deadlines monthly are on the 25th of the month. Also, please note that in July, we don't do cash requests because our accountants are finishing out the fiscal year. This is an important one. November 25th is when you need to report your final expenditures for your previous year grant. This is how we determine whether or not and how much carryover you have, and that can be amended into your new grant. Please note that if you miss deadlines, that can contribute. It's not the only thing, but it contributes to you ending up on the high risk list, which is something that nobody really likes too much. So please be mindful of deadlines. Next slide, please. As far as the ESEA application, generally we have allocations in May or June. That's not quite the case this year. I'll talk more about that in a minute. We just completed the e-grants tour, and I do want to give a shout out. I see there's a few of you on that were a part of that. It was great to see you all out there around the state. Critical deadline, September 1st. You need to have created your 25-26 application. That is a pretty easy process. You just go into your opportunities and hit create for your ESEA, and you've met that deadline. September 30th, it needs to be submitted. And then myself and the federal programs team have a month to churn through hundreds of these and get them all approved by Halloween, October 31st. And please know that after you have your 25-26 approved, that's when you can start to draw down cash requests and make amendments to that application as you need to. Thank you. Next slide. These are the program contacts. I will just, you'll have all this information. So if you have questions about specific programs, these are your first line of contact at the OPI. I would also note that Marissa Britton-Bostwick is our foster care point of contact. So if you have any questions about a foster care situation that may come up, you can reach out to her. And then Justine Guthrie, who oversees McKinney-Vento, she is our state homeless point of contact. So if you have any questions around homeless students and what your obligations are and what some different options to serve them are, you can reach out to Justine. Next slide, please. Real quick on the funding right now, if you go into your ESEA application, the only pots of money you'll see in there available to you are Titles 1A and Titles 5B. If you receive that, not everybody does. We are working just as quickly as we can to get 2A, 3, and 4A loaded in there. I'm hoping in the next week or so that will happen. When that happens, we will notify you. And then our team will be providing follow-up guidance and support around that because we're in such a unique situation to make sure that we assist you in getting your application completed as soon as possible. The next slide, please. These are just some things in the new soup that you should make sure you do if you have not done so already. Make sure that you have eGrants access as a authorized rep for your district. There's an email that you can send that request to. Your clerk should also be able to do that for you. Make sure that you know who your homeless liaison and foster care point of contacts are. Oftentimes that is the authorized rep, which would be you. But find out who those people are and or if you need to have somebody do it. And then I would recommend you look at your district's last year ESEA application so that you kind of have a sense of what kind of services your district generally offers your students. And if you have any questions, you can email me or call me, or you can type them in the chat now.
Thanks, Zach. We will move over to CTAE, our Career and Technical Education, and we'll have Shannon Boswell do that, and Adult Education.
Hi, I'm going to try to go fast and keep us on time. So if you don't mind, we'll move through these pretty quickly. Just wanted to give a quick overview of what we feel is a comprehensive career technical and adult education program, looking for programs that are providing high technical skill, offering high-level work-based learning, connecting those programs to industry standards, looking for credentials, which are also going to be a key piece to some upcoming funding with the STARS Act. We really encourage engagement in our student organizations, our CTSOs, and really connecting with your community through your community local needs assessment and promoting some lifelong learning through adult community programs. We will move on to funding. So we have several different funding streams that impact career and technical education. The first is state funding, which is kind of guaranteed money based on your student enrollments and course codes and lots of little pieces. But we have $1.5 million annually that we distribute across the state to all of our high school or secondary CTE programs that have been approved. There is some funding coming for middle school that is in a grant release, but that will be in fiscal year 26. The other main source of funding that we have for CTE is through the Carl Perkins grant. And that while that is federal funds, our timeline is slightly different than those of all of the title timelines. So we run a July 1 to June 30th fiscal year through that grant program. So our timelines are just a little different, but those grants were due on June 30th. So your school districts would have already applied. You will be doing some amendments as we get final allocations into the fall. Other sources for funding that can be used for career and technical education are the Advanced Opportunities Grant. We do have an Advancing Agricultural Education Grant that can be for new ag programs or current ag programs that they can apply for on a biennium, up to $2,000 per teacher. Or if it's a new program, it's $7,500 for the first biennium of that program, along with some reserve grants and some other potential grants that can be applied for districts. So we'll move right on along. Talking about that state funding, just to give you an idea of what that formula comes from. It's your enrollments, your CTSO memberships, whether you have a CTSO for a program, any extended contracts for teachers, general fund expenditures as related to career and technical education. And that's an area that you may want to look at. We've had a lot of schools showing zeros there over the last few years. And so making sure that those funds are earmarked for the right expenditures. If you are spending local money, local dollars on CTE, we want to make sure that goes into that funding formula. And then participation in workforce activities, that will be part of the work-based learning and the industry recognized credentials. Go ahead and just, keep on rolling. Just a quick overview of Perkins. Even though this grant has already been completed for the year, just thinking about going forward, participation is based on the number of pathways. So your eligibility comes from how many pathways you have approved at a school. If you're a Class A, you have to have at least 3 Montana career pathways available for students. Class B is 2 approved pathways, and Class C is 1. One big misconception that we find is that districts feel like the more pathways that they have, the more Perkins dollars they get. That is absolutely not true. We are happy if you are able to offer more pathways, but we really have it tied down to 1, 2, and 3 because we want quality CTE programs and quality pathways. The number of pathways does not equate to funding from Perkins. Perkins is tied to your poverty rate and your census numbers for students school-aged 5 to 17. And so that's really what dictates the allocations for Perkins. With that, just a reminder that if you do any, federal reporting is required for all grants. And so there's a lot of data collection and reporting that is necessary to remain eligible for Perkins. Can you scoot to the next one? Thanks. We are coming into a comprehensive local needs assessment year in fiscal year 27. And to help all of our programs get ready, we are excited. We are partnering with OCHI and going out and doing regional meetings. These are the upcoming dates for those regional meetings where we will be putting our secondary and our post-secondary partners together to discuss the needs of CTE in those regions. Be on the lookout for an email from me, probably today or tomorrow, with information on all of these regional meetings now that we have everything set. I'm going to kind of glaze over this, but looking at Perkins, these are the performance measures that we evaluate within Perkins. One of the things I just like to share, if we can go ahead and move forward, is where those data pieces come from. That's a question we often get, is where the performance measure data comes from. And so the 4-year graduation rate is comparing your CTE concentrators, which are students who have taken 2 courses in a pathway or more, are identified as concentrators. So we're looking at those concentrators' graduation rate. We're looking at their ACT scores in comparison to other students. And the post-program placement is a follow-up from the spring graduates. We follow up with them in the fall and see if they are enrolled in a program, if they are working in field, kind of getting an idea of where those students are going once they graduate high school. Go ahead. Yeah, thank you. The other 2 are non-traditional. Sometimes our smaller schools have a hard time with this one because not all of our programs would be considered non-traditional for a gender. An example here would be male students maybe in our nursing program or early childcare. Female students in a welding, fabrication, or advanced manufacturing type of pathway would be considered our non-trad. A lot of our business courses are not considered a non-traditional. It's pretty gender neutral. So that's sometimes where our programs come up with maybe not hitting that benchmark. And then work-based learning is our last performance measure. This is recorded within Infinite Campus, within course codes, and also indicating courses that are work-based learning. So that's where a few of those pieces come from. Thanks, Ellery, if you can, thanks. And then just reminder of our data timelines, that those fall collections will start November 1 for CTE. And I know Nicole already shared with you the collection timeline. This one is just specific for CTE, but it is within all of the AIM collections that they have posted on their website as well. Just talking quickly about work-based learning, wanted to touch on the fact that this is not just work release. We really think of this as a higher level, that there are learning outcomes for students. And we really want to be mindful that we are giving students credit for their work-based learning that they are doing while in high school. Can you go to the next slide for me? Thank you. And the things that I like to highlight here, we get from a lot of schools that maybe they don't have a lot of business partners in their district that they can place students at. But what I want you to really think about is the fact that we have these school-based enterprise piece for those districts that could do something within the school. A great example, a lot of schools, business programs will operate kind of a coffee shop, and that is student run. That is an opportunity for work-based learning. School greenhouses, there's lots of opportunities that the school can look at. Another one that really doesn't necessarily require a industry partner is the career project-based learning. And so this would be kind of like a service learning project of taking on a need in the community, a need in the school, and developing a plan. So there's lots of opportunities for work-based learning to happen that doesn't have to just be placement at a business location. Thank you. We have lots of resources available on our website, which I did drop in the chat there. You can check out. We've got a manual. We've got lots of links and folders, but these are some of our partners who also work very well with our schools to assist with work-based learning for high school students. And then our student organizations, we recognize 7 in the state of Montana, and these 7 are across the state, very strong programs. And if you don't have any of them in your schools, I would highly encourage you to reach out and learn more about them and get them involved at your school. Couple quick PD pieces. We have a new professionals workshop geared for those that are 5 and under in career and technical education or in Montana. It's free. There's lots of great sessions. We do it hybrid, so 3 sessions are virtual and 1 is in person. You can follow that QR code or go to our website for information to register. And then we have our Fall Institute hosted by Montana ACTE in Bozeman in October. Lots of great workshops there as well. You can follow that link and go get the agenda. And then one of the nice things we were able to do this year is provide some scholarships. For those that are registering for new professionals, there is a requirement you have to attend new professionals to get the scholarship for the Montana Fall Institute. But there's some information to assist some folks to get to those PD conferences. Perkins dollars can also be used to cover the cost of the Fall Institute for your CTE teachers or yourself. And there's our contact information. Went as fast as I could, Ellery.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Shannon. We just got 2 more left. I know we're a little bit over time. It's both licensing and accreditation. So it will go fast. I'll hand it over to you, Crystal.
Thanks, Ellery. Yeah, if you need to drop off, I recognize the time. We are still recording, and we'll piece together the recording since we had that little blip, but we will have it all for you. So if you need to get off, we understand, but we are going to keep rolling so you have the information. Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk about licensure. So Teach Montana is our licensure system. Biggest question for you as a district superintendent, are you staffed? And is your district staff accurate? These are things that I can help you with, or my team. You can chat me right now to say, can you check to see if I'm staffed, or shoot me an email. It takes just about a second for me to do that. It is important for you to be staffed because that's how you can start certain applications or approve applications. Something that's, I think, an important tool for you to know, and again, not expecting you to know this right now or even to dive into this, but a good resource for you, is that if you're wanting to know the status of an application for a teacher, obviously feel free to contact me or my team, but you do have that ability within the Teach Montana system once you are staffed as superintendent. I have the directions here. You go to your district tab. You can then search by person or application, and it'll tell you what that status is. Next slide. So here's an example of what it came up with for this district. It'll tell you the person, what the application is, their status, and then when it was submitted. So you can see there is this one application, all of them have been approved and the date, but that one application was marked deficient for some reason. You can see then in that application what it was missing, and have that information for you, just to know the status. Again, we are here to help you and support you with this, but you do have this as a tool for you to really look into your teachers' applications. Big question I'm getting right now is about emergency authorizations. They are open as district level. You can be starting those applications. There is a help document on Teach Montana. So at that top right corner, there is that magnifying glass. You click on that, and at the bottom of that sheet, you will see district guides, and there are a bunch of tools for you there about Teach Montana. The one in particular that will help you is the emergency authorization guide. Once you click on that, there is a user guide for starting an emergency authorization. So that for the district user, so the district superintendent needs to start this application, or your HR person, whoever you have staffed, to being able to start the application. But it is started by the district, since an emergency authorization is owned by the district. You will start it. Go ahead, Ellery. Once you start that application, this is what comes out. This is a completed application for this year, so I wanted to make it accurate for you to see what it looks like currently. The yellow pieces are for the district user to complete. The endorsement area, the employment information, and the big key, the big one is the 25-26 school year job posting. That is its own component this year because it is a vital part of this process. We are looking for some sort of job posting that you're posting for the position for this current school year coming up. The applicant has a few areas. The longest one that takes the applicants is that background check. So I encourage anyone that is thinking about emergency authorization to have that background check done early, just because that does tend to hold up the process. And then the county superintendent does need to sign off. All county superintendents are staffed to do this. If there is a new county superintendent, they have been in contact with me typically, but if not, I can get them staffed just to be sure that they can sign off on the emergency authorizations. Payment comes after that. Go ahead. No, that's okay. Payment comes after that, and all emergency authorizations come across my desk. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, that user guide will really help you get started with it. Here is the email and phone number for my licensure team. I will say very lightly that we are in a major transition in licensure. Two of our most senior specialists have retired, so we have new staff coming on. So please be patient. We are doing our very best. I have been wearing my licensure hat more and more just to try to keep us going with it. But if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me, and I will do my best to get things addressed fast. So with that, I will turn it over to Ellery to wrap us up for accreditation. Thank you.
Any questions on licensing real quick before we jump over? All right. So school accreditation, where do you find us? On the website underneath the leadership tab, assessment and accountability. We are the second to last school accreditation. What you'll find on there is some important things like our timeline that just got updated. If you're new and you don't know where you fall in the cycles, we have our cycle group listing, as well as any announcements that we will have, and then as our criteria reference guide, guidance, school climate, CNA, and then course code resources. So this is an accurate reflection of what it looks like right now. Highly recommend checking out that cycle grouping list so you know when you're going. So we're just going to do a brief overview of the why. So all of accreditation is found under the standards of accreditation, which are Administrative Rules of Montana, Chapter 10, 55, and it is 10 subchapters under that. The reason that accreditation is being so pushed heavily is we have not had an update on our rules for over 20 years. So then in 2023, the Board of Public Ed actually went through the revision process and changed our rules, and that led us into this direction of changing accreditation from more of an inputs-based system to an outcomes-based system. There are 4 types of statuses that you can have in accreditation. That is regular, which is the highest, regular with minor deviation, advice, or deficiency. So what we did in 23-24 was phase 1 of this transition, and then last year completed phase 2. So now we're going into a 3-year cycle as approved by the board, but we did get a delay. So this next year, nobody has to go in terms of submitting your comprehensive needs assessment, your family engagement plan, et cetera, your ISAP, all of those pieces. What's going to happen this 25-26 school year is that you will submit how you spent your EFA funding, and then your Infinite Campus data and some general assurances. So that'll be coming up this year. If you were in deficiency overall, if your school is in deficiency overall, you will have to resubmit the full piece this year. If you have questions on that, please feel free to reach out. There wasn't very many schools, so we don't need to take up too much time on that. So cycle 1 will start in 26-27. Cycle 2 will start 27-28, and then cycle 3 will start in 28 and 29. And that is where you'll submit all of the components. So what we broke up into 2 years will be done in that full cycle. Speaking of deficiency and advice schools, you will have to submit your corrective plans. That is coming up due August 29th. You have heard from me. If you have not heard from me, we need to update your contact information, but you'll be hearing more from me as we get closer to that deadline, or Crystal. So in addition to the general requirements, which are the systematic procedure and timeline for resolving those deviations, the board actually asked that we gather some additional information from you on that. So they want to know the root cause to why you ended up in a device or deficiency overall, who is responsible for making sure that corrective plan is met, who's going to be monitoring and evaluating that, and then you will need board approval on your corrective plan. So that is all due in our accreditation platform August 29th. Here's what it looks like in the platform. If you have been if you were in another district, all you have to do is select what caused you to be in your corrective plan. So assurance standards or student performance standards. 98% of everybody who was in advice or deficiency was because of student performance standards. So that should help guide you there. Then the last little piece I want to mention was our variance to standards application. That is due the second Monday in October. So this year it'll be October 13th. You can apply for variance to standard for basically everything except for statutory educator licensing or content standards. Mostly what we get them for is library and school counselor and administrators, that ratio requirement. So as you're going through and you're seeing if you are short in those areas, that is a good way for you to be able to not get an accreditation deviation for that. So where you can find your application is underneath assessment and accountability, school accreditation. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, that's where the variance to standards applications live. So you can see the rule, the application materials, who's on the board, and then any prior approved applications. So I highly recommend that as you're going through and you're not sure you're going to make it in terms of those ratio requirements. If you have questions on that, just please feel free to reach out to me or Crystal, and we can get you set up and look at what you have to see if you might need one or not. I think that is everything. We have one question. Reporting had to be in. So the board does want, if you are in that corrective plan, they do want you to be available. They may not ask you any questions, but they do want you to be available in case they have questions on your corrective plan. So that was an additional piece there. The link where we will record, I can drop that in. I'm going to stop sharing here. And then I can send that to you. That is the end of our presentation. So if there is any questions in regards to anything, please feel free to reach out. If you have any questions, I can stay on a little bit for accreditation and answer that. And if you have questions in other areas and those people have dropped off, we can take a note and get that to them and get back to you.
Thanks, Ellery. So yes, we will be posting this on our website. I'll make sure that it's somewhere that's easy to find. We will probably have it sent out also in sort of a GovDeliv, just so you have that link. Thank you for sticking with us. We know this was a ton of information, too much really, but that's why we are recording and having the PowerPoint for you so that you can refer to it throughout the school year. Thanks to the team for being here and providing the information. Have a wonderful school year and please keep in touch. Bye-bye.